The SimpleSat Look Down program is a program ideally suited for giving demonstrations of satellite operations or use in educational environments. On the left-hand side of the program window, two maps are displayed. The upper map is the traditional satellite tracking map that you see on many of the other tracking programs that are out there. Our location is shown here. Here is the satellite ground track. This is the coverage circle, and here is the satellite location and heading indicator. On the lower map, we have a bird's eye view from the satellite as it's looking straight down towards the center of the Earth. On the right hand side, we have the local time displayed up at the top. I don't wear a watch, so I'm always interested in clocks. It's currently displaying local. If you click it, it will change to UTC. Below that, we have the satellite selection boxes. The satellites are organized into groups. We can select the group from this pull-down box, and you can see we have 5 groups currently set up. Over here we have a list of the satellites that are in the currently selected group. So in the AO series group, we have a number of satellites. You can switch satellites the way you would expect. Here's the azimuth and elevation of the currently selected satellite relative to our location. And you might notice that this satellite is currently in range, so the AOS number shows in range, and the LOS is displayed in local time. Again, you can switch that to UTC if you want by clicking up here. This is a cluster of controls oriented around the tracking map. One is the zoom, which enables you to zoom in and out. We also have a pause button. Now normally the tracking map, which is down here, tracks the satellite. So this little green circle right here represents the position of the satellite. It is amazing how fast it actually moves. I've been looking at these sorts of things for decades, and I don't know, I guess I never had a full appreciation for the ground speed. It probably just seems like it was slow because I was always waiting for a pass to come up. We can pause the tracking map by clicking on this button. Our little tracking circle in the middle turns to orange to remind us that we're in the pause mode. And when we're in the pause mode, we can pan the map. What it's done is it's disconnected the tracking map window from the satellite tracking window. So we can move around and we can zoom in. You can zoom in at a higher level when you're paused. I found that if you actually track the satellite when you're at this zoom level, everything just went by in a blur. So I've limited the zoom, the maximum zoom, when you're in, actually tracking the satellite to prevent that from happening. So if we click the pause button again, notice the little circle changed to green, and satellite's out of range here, so now we can see the AOS for the next pass and the LOS for the next pass. There's 2 modes. One is, I think, satellite view or Earth view, and the other, I'll show you that here, is I think they call it ground view or map view or something like that. And if we move in here, it gives you a lower detail, easier to read kind of map, similar to what you would see on a GPS unit. So we can switch modes. Notice the little reminder that we're in pause is this little orange circle. So if we hit pause, we are no longer pausing the satellite. Setup for this program is fairly easy. I remember I had a student once who told me if anyone tells you something is simple, they use that word because they know it's really not. Probably very wise words, but I think this is about as simple as it can get. So to go into the setup function, click on this button, and on the right hand side we can set our location, our QTH. Location 1, which is signified by the yellow rectangle, is up here, and location 2, you don't really need that unless you plan on using the predict mode to find passes that are visible in both location 1 and location 2. If that interests you, you can set location 2. I wonder if anyone recognizes the grid locator for this famous person who has done so much for our hobby. If you can enter the grid or your location in a 4 or 6 character grid locator up here. If you do that, click the Use Grid button. If you want, you can enter in a more accurate or possibly more accurate latitude and longitude pair here, and if you want to use those, click this. You can also enter in the altitude of your station in feet. It really doesn't matter, but if it makes you feel good, put it in. Over here we set up our groups and determine which satellites are in each group. Our currently selected group is the AO series, and there's the 4 satellites that are in this group. Down here we have a box that also displays the group name. If we want to change the group name, you go in here and change it to whatever you want. So we'll change it a little, and then click the Update Group Name. To add a satellite, go over here to the All Satellites box, which has all the satellites for which we have data. And for example, if we want to add this one, we can just click it. If we wanted to add GOLAT, whatever that is, we can click that. Now you might notice that the lists are always maintained in alphabetical order. I just think things that computers can do, they should do, and you shouldn't have to try to hunt through unsorted lists to do simple tasks. You can also work on different groups here. Now you'll notice here that there's actually 10 groups. The bottom 5 are listed as empty. The groups will show up on the main menu if there are satellites in them. If there are no satellites in a group, the group will not show up on the main menu. Again, I tried to make this as simple as possible. So if you felt the need for another group, you could just pick a group, one of the empty ones, change its name, put some satellites in it, and you're good to go. When you're done, all you have to do is click on this little button up here. And we notice that our name of our group has changed, and those satellites, including GOLAT, whatever that is, have been added. The web update button does what you expect. It will download satellite data from the web. When you start the program, if it's been a while since you've updated it, you'll get a little reminder window offering you the option of updating, and as a result this button is probably really not even needed. The predict button does what you would expect. If you click on the predict button, a little grid shows up down here that shows the satellites for our currently selected group, and for each of those satellites we have the wait time. which means how long it is before it will come into range, the length of the pass in minutes and seconds, and the maximum elevation that will be achieved during that pass. You can sort by any of these columns. By default, it sorts by weight length. So you can see AO51 is coming up pretty quick, whereas CO66 we have a long wait. The minimum elevation box does what you expect. If you put a number in here, it will search until it finds a pass that's at least as large as that value. So if you wanted to switch by maximum elevation, say you have a fairly lousy station like mine, we could click on this and we can see that the maximum elevation is now sorted in ascending order. If we click it again, it's sorted in descending order. If you wanted a long path or a path time, you could sort by length. So here it is sorted in ascending order, here it is sorted in descending order. The location 2, what this will do is this will go and attempt to find passes where both location 1 and location 2 can access the satellite. You may recall that our setup function over here allowed us to put in a location 2. Oh, another thing you might not have noticed is this circle in the tracking map is orange. When you're in the predict mode, there's actually a fair amount of behind the scenes computation that's going on, and if you have a lot of satellites in there and if you put in a really high minimum elevation or something, it can take a while for it to go through those calculations, and the scrolling of the map really got sort of funky. So when you're in predict mode, it puts the tracking map into pause. I'll load in a big group which I've creatively called lots of satellites. There's a lot of them here, and you can see when we leave the predict mode, we immediately go back to the locked mode where the tracking map is actually tracking the satellite. If we go back into predict mode and click location 2, a couple of things happen. One is the little rectangle for location 2 shows up here. So there's location 1 and here's location 2. And the passes, the only passes that are displayed are passes that are valid for both positions. The maximum elevation that's displayed in this column is the worst case, meaning, for example, if you picked this, 3.5 degrees is the maximum elevation for the station that has the worst coverage. You know, just think about a pass that might have gone directly over this location, and then this poor guy over here might have been right on the fringe. So this displays the worst case. In addition, when you've selected location 2, you might have noticed up here at the top, location 1 is shown in latitude and longitude, and when you've selected a location 2, that's also shown up here. So if we click location 2, then all that's shown up here is location 1. As soon as, well, we're still in the predict mode, and as you might have noticed, the tracking map is paused. So if we turn off the predict mode, we are back into tracking mode. We can zoom in. Okay, I think that about covers it. Again, I think this program is, if nothing else, I think it's quite neat, and I was glad to be able to share it with the satellite community. So I guess that's it. 73s from W9KE.